Hey, this is Ron. Ron's Woodturning. Welcome to my shop. It's cold. Or was. It's warming up now. And wife's been in the hospital and I take care of her. So I hadn't been out in the shop in a while. It's about 3, 4, 5 days. And I was anxious to get back in here. So I'm digging around through my toolbox and I found all the parts to make a pen. Found the little ink thingy, the little brass tubes to go inside the wood, a little clip, a little center spacer, found the pointed end, and I found the motor, whatever you call it, the gearbox. But what I did not find was the top part of the pen, where you mash it in there and this goes, onto the pen. You mash the top in and it holds this in place. But since that doesn't ever come off again, I'm just going to make one out of wood. That way I got all the parts. So stick with me. I'm going to drag up a piece of cocobola pen blank, put it on my pen jaws on my small lathe, and we're going to make a pen. Okay, so I got a piece of cocobola, and I got this brass sleeve that goes inside of the wood. And what I got to do is I need 2 measurements, and going to need to measure the inside, which I know is 7mm, but we're going to check it anyway. So that's .242. You write that number down. And then the outside is going to be the same as the bushing that I'm going to use, or the same diameter as this right here. Which is .333. I'll write that down. So I'm going to make the end cap first. So I'm going to put it in the chuck, turn it all down until I got the cap that goes on the end of the pen to hold the shirt clip for it. So let me get set up and we'll get going. Alright, it's in my pen jaws, and I'm basically going to make the cap backwards. So this is what it looks like. Well, can't see it. Yeah. So the top part would be the end of the pen, and this countersinks. So I'm going to make the top part here so I can finish it and polish it up, and then I'll shrink it in and do the cutoff, because there ain't nobody going to ever see that in. So let's get going. Oh, it moved. That ain't good. Let me, okay, so plan B. This, I mean, I could use a shorter piece, but I'll finish it the other way around, cut it off, and just, that ain't much to sand and polish, so I'll do it the other way. Just reverse it, basically. So now let's get started. Alright, it's pretty close. Not quite. I need it to fit inside there. And it's not going to be a press-in fit, it's going to be more of a glue-in fit, so it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be pretty close. So let me crank it back up and let's go. tad. Perfect. Alright. Alright, so that's how much I need. About twice that width. You can't let it stick too far down in there because the end of the pin will mash up against it. So I'll make this piece a little bit longer, and then I'll measure the outside of it basically to match this bushing, because this is what you use to make the wood the same diameter as the parts. Okay, now that ought to fit. Let me check it. Perfect. Now I'll just polish up the top. It won't take but a second. And I got a cap. Now I can do the pin. So let me get going. Okay, now this pin kit just so happens that both ends are basically the same length. So I'm just going to mark this blank. Two times. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this to size before I drill it, and get them glued up, put it back on the lathe. So I'll be back. Alright. Now, this is cocobola, so it's kind of an oily wood, so you can't just hog it out with a drill bit. You got to kind of play with it or to clog up your drill bit. So, we'll drill it out. Alright, they're both drilled out. Now I've got to switch setups. So basically I'm going to take this chuck off somehow. There we go. And put in my pin mandrel, which is this contraption here. So now I need my bushings. And then I'm going to need a center bushing, which will be this one. which I ain't going to put on yet because I still got to glue the brass tubes in here. So let me switch. Okay, one little tip. I found 2 brass tubes. One of them was already roughed up. This one is smooth. So I've got to rough this one up so that the glue will stick. And basically all I do is just take my little file and just scratch it up real good. That way the glue will stick. And some kits come already roughed up, some kits don't. So let me track that down and we'll see if we can't get it roughed up. Alright, now I used medium CA glue. Some people use 2-part epoxy. I've always had, but the medium's going to take longer to dry. So I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it on the mandrel. Put the center in for the center of the pin. It's the same diameter. And then I'm going to put the end point in. And then I got another short little mandrel. And then I got one of these chucks with a hole in it. And they make 2 kinds of these. One has a little knurled knob on the end. Those work fine. This one I just like better. And I'm going to give that about 15-20 minutes before I turn it because it'll break loose. So, but all you do now, you just tighten it up. Put a little pressure on it. There we go. Lock it down. And we'll wait a little bit and then start turning. It's pretty close to dry, and a lot of people use a lot of different things. I mean, I've seen them use the big roughing gouges. And I like this little square carbide cutter. I just cock it at a little angle and just run it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And when I get close to the bushings and the shape I want, I can get it really, really close. And finish the last part of the shaping up with some sandpaper. This is cocobola, like I said, so it's going to hold together really nice and not chip out and stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright. It got some pretty good little features up in this cocobola. It's looking like a little something here. A little flashy here. I like it. So now the process is just I'm going to start with about 150 grit and go all the way up to 600 or so. Yorkshire grit it. And I got thin CA glue. I didn't have any last pin I made. So I may go ahead and slow roll a coat of CA on it and make it really super shiny. I got all the way up to 15,000 grit paper, so I'll make this one pretty shiny. Plus I got plastic polish too to top it off. So anyway, I'm going to get started sanding, and I'll come back when it comes time to put the CA glue. Alright, that's 600, up to 600. And now I'm going to hit it with the Yorkshire. And I don't know. I got it so smooth now. I don't know if I want to put CA on it. That's a pain in the butt. And a good old rubbed on polished carnauba wax finish does a pretty good job. Boy, look at that grain pop out of there. Woo! Yeah! I might have to keep this one. That's pretty. So, spin that up. Spin it on up. Now you want to be careful when you're doing this, because this Yorkshire grit will get on these bushings and stain your paper towel, and then you'll wipe it on the wood and it's hard to get it off. So I try to stay away from the bushings as much as I can. Can't always, but try at least. You know what, I'm going to put some of that Hampshire sheen on there. Call it good. Cocobola's oily anyway. And that is pretty smooth. It's not like a glass or anything, but I don't know. I just like it more natural, I guess. I don't know. That's what I'm going to do. Let me slow that down and put some of that Hampshire sheen on it. Okie dokie. Alright. Might put 2 or 3 coats on there instead of CA glue. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there on how to do CA glue, and I used to do it on duck calls and predator calls and all that, and it's I don't know. I don't think it needs it. It might. It's up to y'all. If you like super glassy pens, that's definitely the way to go. This is just going to have sheen. Alright, give that a second. Alright, that's pretty doggone shiny if you ask me. Alright, so let me get it off the lathe and I'll get set up and show you how to put it together. Okay, now that I got these off the lathe, I don't want to keep it clean, so I have this little square thingy. You slide it in there and you just be careful. Just twist it, and that squares up the end. There's other ways of doing this. I bought this when I bought the pen press and the mandrels and the bushings and all that stuff. It's not that expensive and you can use it over and over. I even figured out how to sharpen. It's kind of like a Forstner bit. You run your little carbide card up in there. But you just go slow, and that squares up the end. Perfect. Okay. Now, we'll start putting it together. Okay, so here's the little wooden top I made. and I'm going to glue that on. Got a little bit of medium. I don't want to let it run down in there. Just barely a couple of drops. And then I'm going to figure out a good spot. I don't want to cover up no cool stuff, so about right there. And just hold it in place. Give it time to dry. Pretty slick. I know you can't see it yet, but I still got to hold it. Whoop, I need another drop here. Alright, I put a drop of thin, and I can't let go of it yet because the tension on the clip is wanting to push the cap off. So I'll just hold it here a little bit, come back. Alright, there it is, all glued up. Now the rest of the work is on the bottom half. Alright, the next part is to put the end on. And I want to pick a good, looks good right there. Just kind of barely get it started. And then put it in the press. Now you could do this a number of different ways. This is just a fancy press, but you can bang it in there with a rubber mallet if you want. Just be careful. Now once that's on, now the next part is the gearbox. So let me get that. And the gearbox goes in brass in first, and you'll see there's a line. Never, ever, ever trust the line. So we're going to get it in here, and I'm going to have to take some shims out. Good. Now what I mean by that is don't go all the way to the line on the first push. I've been bit more times than I want to care to admit. So go almost, and then go get the actual pin thing. And screw it in, and then twist it. And see, it's just barely sticking out, so I didn't go too far. Because you can't hardly, I mean, they make kits to pull these things back out, but heck with that. That's a pain. So I'm going to go a little further. I saw how much was sticking out. I see how much is right here, and I'm going to give it about to the line this time. It looks like it's going to work. Right there. And we're going to try it again. You said, where is that? Yeah. Alright, so comes all the way in, goes all the way out. So we're basically done. Let me get the parts. So I got the little centerpiece, hard to see I know. That just slides down over the gearbox, and then you want to kind of look at them. I mean, you can always change it. It's going to slide around anyway. But anyway, I kind of like this matchup right here. And just push that in. And there you go. You have a pin. A twist pin. That looks pretty good. I like that. So, glad y'all could join me again in my shop. I know it wasn't super fancy stuff, and there's millions of YouTube videos out there on how to make a pin, and there are people that just make these awesome pins with the inlays and different glue ups, patterns, and the naked turner. He's got some really cool ones out. Go watch his pin turning video. He doesn't get super detailed on his latest ones, but he has in the past. It ain't hard. You can watch the video on PSI, Penn State Industries, and they kind of show you how to make one. That's what I did. And then Made a bunch of pins. But you get in the mood to make a pin, then you get in the mood to make a bowl, and you get in the mood to try something new, and you just, that's what it's all about, to have fun. So thank y'all for joining me, and like and subscribe, and y'all have a great day.